Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Anae Agostini. I'm CEO of CID Insurance Programs, and I'll be one of your instructors today. And then I want to introduce Jacob Cole, our marketing specialist. He's running the show behind the scenes, and he's going to be doing part of our presentation today as well. So again, welcome, and I'm glad you were able to join us. So what are we going to be talking about today? How to manage your renewal expirations. This is a crucial part of the renewal process. So let's talk about the webinar objectives. So we're going to talk about the renewal process in general and the importance of it. We're going to talk about how to retain your commercial renewals because you want it. That's really the goal, right? Is retention with renewals, and then how do you use CID's renewal expiration Excel template? We're going to introduce a little template that you can get from our website, and Jacob is going to take you there directly. And then last, we'll talk about a few of our other tools that are available on our website. So let's get started. Okay, so the renewal process, the most important thing, and I know in our day-to-day, sometimes I think most of you probably feel like service it seems to run your agency, and that service is probably more on the personal line side than it is on the commercial side, unless you're writing a lot of contractors. Because contractors can be service heavy, and some other classes of commercial business can be too. So, but the key is to treat renewals like new business. So, you want to send a written proposal. You want to touch it once a year because commercial renewals are not commercial policies in general are not heavy labor on the service side. So it's easy not to have contact with your commercial insured during the year. So the key is to take the time at renewal and touch it really well and be professional about it. Other important factor is to always be looking. This is your E&O exposure. Be looking for that cross-sell. What other coverages do they need? And make sure that you're at least putting that in your proposal as a recommendation. That's the minimum that you want to be doing, so that you, if they have a loss and they come back to you and say, I have a claim, and you go, there's no coverage, at least you can say, I offered it to you. That's the key. Fourth point, focus your 50% of your time on renewal retention and 50% of your time on new business production. They're both equally important for profitability, because if you're gaining on the new business side and you're not doing well with your renewals, it's like bringing in business and it's escaping out the back door. So that's the key, is to spend equal time on both. And then last but not least, a very, very effective way is to ask for renewals to get new business is while you're working your renewals. So asking for other insureds, other business people that your insured may know, that would be a great referral for new business. So that's going to be the key. Let's move on. Okay, so first and foremost, when we're talking about renewals, you want to manage your renewals monthly. So on a month, so you're going to look at it, all your renewals for a month by expiration date. So you're going to be, let's just say we're in the month of December, or you're getting ready to work on January. You're going to run it from 1/1 to 1/31, and that's going to be your that's how you view it, because you want it in. It needs to be organized by expiration. You want to start the renewal process 60 days prior to the expiration date. Yes, I said 60 days. You want to be looking at what's coming up, and then that 60 days, we use a process that I wanted to mentioned to you. It's the 60, 30, 10-day renewal process. And that 60-day is when you send out letting the insured know that you're going to be working on the renewal. And generally speaking, there may not be, but generally speaking, there might be updated information that you need, and you're going to ask for it at that time, and you're going to, and we're going to send that same language. You can use that if you want templates. We've got templates, but we send those to you as well. You can just copy the language that we use, which is to say we're going to be looking at other carriers. We're going to be taking this out to market so that to make sure that you have the most competitive coverage. 30 days is when you want to be sending out the renewal quote. So giving them 30 days to view and then get back. If they haven't responded within that 30 days to your renewal quote, and if you've gone out for other to market, you may be sending multiple quotes, or you may be sending the best quote you think with a summary of what you did. So that kind of thing is going to be important. But if they haven't responded within the 30 days, you'll be sending out a 10-day reminder notice, which it works really beautifully for us for maintaining our renewals, because people get busy and then they forget about the renewal, and they love that 10-day reminder. That's you guys as brokers when we send it out to you. However, if you're using a renewal expiration list, a report, then you would be monitoring your own, which is super important. So on this renewal report, you're going to be, it's a great tool to use to find out your retention ratio. So because you're going to mark off whether it renewed or it not renewed, right? It didn't renew at the renewal, and so you can use it in the Excel report. You can actually get a total number by premium and by PIF, which is policy in force, and then you can take and divide your not renewed PIF and premium by the total month, and that will give you your retention ratio for the month. So you also will have the opportunity to track your renewals and confirm. There's two really important things to know. Once you've renewed, you want to make sure that you get your policy and that you get paid your commission. Those two things. So issued and paid are super important, and that's you getting your commission. So those are going to be the key elements to look for. So let's move on. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Jacob. Yes.
Sorry about that. Thank you. I just want to mention before we do our live demonstration on the report, if anyone has any questions on what Anae has covered, or if you have any questions as I go through this, you can type them in the chat box, and we'll do our best to answer those. So first, I'm going to show you where to find our renewal expirations report on our website so that you can download it and use it yourself. So just go to our website, cidinsurance.com. Hover over the Resources tab at the top. Go to Templates. And then scroll down here. And it's right under General Templates. Just click Renewal Expiration Reports. The report's going to download. Go ahead and click that at the bottom of your browser to open it. Just give it a sec to open. One second. Guess my computer decided to act slow at the worst possible moment.
Do you sing and dance, Jacob?
I could. I just got over a cold right now, so my voice isn't exactly where it needs to be, though.
Everyone will probably get off if I sing.
All right, here we go. Sorry about that. So at the top, you will need to enable editing just so that you can edit your own report here. And as you can see, I put together a list of example policies just to show what it's going to look like when you have your policies in your report. So if you notice at the bottom here, Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Jacob. I'll let you go ahead.
Gotcha. Okay. So if you notice at the bottom, there's tabs for each month. This is how we think it's best to track your renewals on a monthly basis. Like Anae said, 60 days in advance. You'll notice that there's an example policy in each of these tabs, just so you know like what information you're going to put in there. And once you understand how to use the report and what information you're going to be filling in, go ahead and delete all of these example policies. So first, I'd like to.
I'll just jump in here for just a second. It's important to note that you will be working multiple months simultaneously. So Jacob has set this up in a one Excel sheet where you can set it up for the whole year, and for those of you that have an agency management system as an independent broker, you can drop your renewals from, if you can get them into an Excel spreadsheet, you can drop them right into it. And Jacob can talk a little bit more about that, drop it in here. But you're going to be like, so if you had a snapshot of this moment right now, you might be working on finishing up a November, which I would not like to see, but it's possible that you might be lagging on late November renewals. But you would definitely be already confirming your December renewals. And then you would be actually right about this time quoting your January renewal quotes that would be going out. And then you would be doing your 60-day notice on your February. So you're moving forward and backwards. So you're confirming your renewals backwards, and you're starting your renewal process going forward. Go ahead, Jake.
All right. Thank you, Nate. First, I'd like to go over all the columns with you on this. We put expiration date first because that is how we determine which order to work in. You want to start with the older policies first, work your way down. Next, we put the insured because that's probably the easiest way for you all to identify a policy. Then we go down the line here, policy number, line of business, coverage, premium amount, E&S broker, and any notes that you want to make about this particular renewal. Some examples of notes you might put could be to attempt a cross-sell when you start working this renewal, or if there's an ownership change, or maybe someone in our office like Lexi went to new carriers and you want to make a note of that, or maybe the insured needs a short-term policy. I'm sure you all know what type of notes you want to put in your own report. So all of these columns should be filled out. You, like Anae said, you can drop them in here from your agency management system. I would drop them in here each time you bind a policy. Just drop them in so you have them all and you can keep track of them. For example, this first policy was effective on December 1st, 2018, most likely, which is when you should put all of that information. So the last three columns are for you to fill out when it comes time to get the policy renewed. The first one is pretty self-explanatory. If it renews, just type in a Y. When the policy is issued, type a Y in that column, and when the commission is paid, you can put a Y there. So that's pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy, and it's just for you to keep track of which policies are done and which still need to be worked.
So one more thing in reference to this is that
you can go ahead.
I think it's important for each of you to think about the best way. If you're a farmer's agent and you don't have an agency management system, you have to start somewhere in tracking your renewals. Ideally, it's best if you can run, as an independent, you're probably going to have an agency management system, and then you can drop your full month right into this Excel spreadsheet. Because ideally that's the best way to do it. But Jacob is suggesting that if you don't have an agency management system, that you may have to start somewhere and start your renewal process as putting them in as you renew them, and so that you will have it ready for next year and you can manage it as you go within the same. You can make sure that as you start it, you can get your renewal in there. Your expiration is going to be next year, but you have to start somewhere. So that's the key, is to get started with this. Question: is there a report that shows all of our policies with CID? We can get that for you if that would be helpful to you. You would want to email Christina at cidinsurance.com.
Yep. Thank you, Anae. I just wanted to show everyone real quick. I feel like most of you will want to either print this out and use different colored highlighters just to keep yourself organized. You can also highlight the rows in Excel if you didn't know that. I don't know. Maybe some people, if it's renewed, they want to do green. Pretty basic stuff, but just wanted to show you guys that maybe if something isn't going to renew, you know for sure. Put an N right there, and then maybe you want to highlight it red or something. But yeah, I just want to show you guys that.
And that's a really good tool, Jacob. I'm glad you mentioned that, because the visual is really helpful with the color coding for you to see. And ideally, it's very motivating when you've got mostly green, right? That means you're doing a good job. Or if you have someone, a team member that's helping you manage this, their accountability is going to be based on a lot of green and a very small amount of red. So it's a visual that really hits home with how well you're doing.
Right, exactly. And another tool that you can use to get that visual, let me just go ahead and fill some of these in as an example. I'll do a couple of non-renewed here. So I would do this periodically. I would select your whole table here, go up to the top where it says sort and filter, and click filter, so you get all these drop-down boxes on each of the columns. I would click this one here, renewed yes or no, and you can unselect all the ones that you've already worked, so all the ones that renewed, all the ones that have not renewed, and then these are the ones that you still need to work. And to do that, to get all your policies back, just reselect all the boxes. So that's a useful tool, I think, to do that periodically, maybe once a week, every couple of weeks, whatever you feel is best for you.
Right. And the other thing tied to that, if they don't want, and that's a great suggestion, Jacob, if you only color code once it's you've determined whether it's completed or not, at least on the renewal, right? So anything that's not color coded is going to be still left to be worked.
Exactly.
So either way will work.
Just in case this ever gets out of order, it's the same thing. If you have that filter on, you can go here, click the drop-down box, oldest to newest, so that you have your expiration dates in order. Just in case that ever gets mixed up, you guys know how to do that. So once a policy renews, you're going to want to put it in next year's report, of course. The easiest way to make next year's report is to just go File. Oops, sorry about that. And I lost it. Give me 1 second, sorry. Okay, we're back. Like I said, go File, Save As, go Browse, and then put it wherever you like to put it. I'll just put it on my desktop for now. And you'll just want to rename it. At this point, it would be probably 2020 that you're going on to, if you already have 2019 reports set up, and then hit Save. And then you'll have both 2019 and 2020. So now you have two reports, current and next year's. So let's say this policy renewed. You would just copy this and then paste it into the 2020. First, you'll go back to 2019, copy the row, and then go to the 2020. Make sure you're in the correct month. Taste it, and the only thing you'll for sure need to change is the expiration date, of course. There could be other changes, premium, whatever you think or whatever you have changed, and then just remove all of these so it's back to its original um, state. And then when you're in the 2020 report, since you basically made a copy of the 2019 one, you're going to have your previous policies in each of the months, and it'll have 2019 in the title. So just a quick, you have to update that really quick, change these, and then however many policies you have in here, just highlight them, hit delete, and start from scratch. And you'll just have to do that the one time that you create your next year's report. So just once a year. Yeah, and then just be sure to save your reports as you go. And I think that's pretty much the gist of the report. It's pretty simple. Anae, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think, Jacob, you've done a great job creating this as a tool for everyone. This is exactly how if you do not, one thing I don't like about agency management systems is that a lot of times the reports, the expiration reports that they give you, do not give you much flexibility as to what information that you can print out. And so what I like the concept of dropping it into this Excel spreadsheet that has a process that you can follow that allows you, to color code, to and then keep a record of the activity, because this will you can see how well you're doing with your renewals throughout a year's time or year to year as well. So and it will give you the ability to go back after some of this business using this report if you lost something. You could use this Excel report to go back and see what you did lose and try and go after it the following year. I just think this is a great tool that you can use ongoing for organization. And again, if you don't have an agency management system and you're like a farmer's agent where your independent book is it does not have an easy home for all the policies to live in, this is a great way to do it. You just have to start somewhere with your book, and like the question that was asked, we can give you a list of ours that you can drop in there, and get started that way. So and then take it year to year. But we'll give you the list. They're all going to have different effective dates, so you might have to drop them in to different months. Now, we want your book to get so big that you've got lots of renewals in each of the months. But you got to start somewhere, and that would be the best way to do it. I think you've done a great job, Jacob. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, we can move on.
Yeah, I just want to mention, like I said, if you guys have any questions, you can enter them in the chat now or email me or Anae after the webinar. We're going to be sending out this report to everyone who registered and all of you who attended. But if you need to, of course, it's always going to be on our website. You can go there and download it. But yeah, I think we're ready to move on.
Okay, just as a follow-up to renewals, the key is to retain them. That's the whole purpose of having an organized report, so you can actually work from a structure that allows you to pay the right amount of attention to each renewal as it comes up. I mentioned PIF. So the retention of commercial clients, and I mentioned that whole thing about new business, gaining new business, and then potentially not paying enough to your retention of renewals, and that you can lose business out the back door and you don't end up going anywhere. One way to really see that is to see your PIF count, policy in force count. So that's how you know whether you're doing a good job or not. Is your PIF growing every year, because if you're doing it right, that means you're retaining most of your renewals, and by the way, you can't keep everything. Something's going to happen where you'll lose a policy, and then but you're retaining the majority of your renewals, and you're growing with new business. That's how you increase your PIF. It has to be growing. If it's going backwards, then you've got to revisit that 50-50, spending equal time on renewals and new business. Another really important thing is that cross-sell situation. Having more than 2 or more policies with one insured, your retention rate is going to be higher. So that's why it's really important to cross-sell. And number one, it protects you from an E&O exposure. And for those of you, any of you, independent farmers, if you are relying on all those little packaged coverages that they throw in there, the coverage is just not enough for some of the exposure, that the growing exposure that's out there. So for EPL and cyber, I really recommend presenting, higher limits, and making sure that I prefer standalone policies because you can get the broadest coverage that way. So just keep that in mind, but you must cross-sell, and that's a great way to retain your more of your business, more of your insureds, by having a higher PIF count by insured. Okay? Know what coverages your clients need. Are you asking about all those coverages? I mentioned EPL. I mentioned cyber. If they're handling money, have you got fidelity coverage? Again, I recommend a standalone fidelity policy, and because you need that computer fraud and funds transfer coverage now, it's an absolute must, along with the employee theft coverage. So standalone policies is the only way you can obtain that. And then, there's always work comp. There's the package. There's, do they need higher liability limits? Do you have an umbrella? All of those things. We can help you with all of those, but you need to be paying attention to that. Also, last but not least, who controls the other insurance for your insured? Because they're going to be hunting your policy to take it away from you. So you want to know who that person is, and you want to make sure that you're competitively competing for that, so that the other broker's not going to take it from you. Okay. Also, knowing those expiration dates of when those policies renew makes it a little more structured way. And I actually think you could actually create sort of a prospect list with an expiration list out of something like this, and maybe Jacob, I'm thinking this through. That may be a great thing to do, something in the new year where we could do a Excel spreadsheet template for prospects with expiration dates. Okay, so I think that's I think I'm done with the renewal part of it. I think you were going to take them and talk about the website. Jacob? Well, I'm going to keep talking because I can't hear Jacob unless I've lost connection here. So anyways, our website, we're getting ready to update our website in 2019, but we've got some really good stuff. We've got our applications. We've got all of these recorded webinars. Everything that we did in 2018 is already up there, so anyone can go watch it over and over again, just as if you're watching it now. And also, I think we only have one more webinar this year, but we've published our 2019 webinar schedule. It's already up and ready for you to view. You can see that we have lots of tools like marketing flyers that you could put your information on. There's a good EPL one in there that I would recommend taking a peek at. We have proposal coverage for that professional presentation at renewal time or even new business. We want to, have you view our take a look. You can own the proposal templates, put your logo on them, make them your own. And then we've got some other sample, like a sample invoice, a broker of record, and last but not least, some risk profile templates, which is how you gather information from your insured on more complicated risks. So we're going to be adding more. If you don't see what you need, just contact us and ask for help. Last but not least, thank you for joining us. There's our website where you can get and look at all those things that I was just talking about, all the educational tools. And we've got a work comp webinar coming up next week on Tuesday, which is about underwriting work comp, things that for you to think about. So please register for that and join us next week on Tuesday. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.